Skeptical open mind, skeptical
What's
open mind.
up?
Another claim of free energy here.
I don't care.
What do you mean you don't care? It's obviously scam.
I don't care. I don't care. I said let them stay in their ignorance and pay for it.
This is not what your channel is about. Explain the clueless folk what's going on here.
Alright.
Come on, move your ass.
Okay.
Come on, you can do it.
All right,
you can do it.
Oh yeah, welcome back to another episode of I Make Free Energy for you guys on YouTube. Oh yes, another claim of free energy on YouTube as usual. I always have to mention that every 6 months a new free energy generator comes out. What's that? Oh yeah, free energy machine, claim of free energy, and as always they are looking for money and blah blah blah. It's been going on for over a century now, nothing new here. So let's go take a look at what the new free energy machine is about.
இந்த மிஷினுக்கு பேர் தான் ஆசிலேஷன் பவர் டெவலப்பர். இது என்ன பண்ணும்னா நம்ம 30 வாட்ஸ் இன்புட் கொடுத்தா அதை 400 வாட்ஸா மாறுவோம், நம்ம ஓட்டிக்கிட்டே இருக்கலாம். இதுக்கு பேட்டர்ன் நாங்கள் அப்ளை பண்ணியிருக்கோம். பேட்டர்ன் பெண்டிங்கில் இருக்குது.
ஃபுல்லியோ பார்த்துக்கலாம்.
Oh wow, free energy machine. Does that look like a free energy machine to you? No, not even a kid. Not even a kid can fall for that machine. It's so clever. However, let's go analyze the video step by step and of course explain why there is a trick, what kind of trick, and why this guy claims free energy. So here is a brief description of what I like to remember, everyone. So how to file a patent in 8 easy steps. So no matter what kind of crazy machine you build, you still have a chance to file your own patent on that crazy machine. Yeah, nowadays everyone can file a patent in 8 easy steps, or probably less. Of course, an inspector has to come out and check out the machine in every detail in order to file a patent. And here we do have actually a claim of free energy. The title is pretty clear. I mean, the title says real patent free energy. Kind of clever. We welcome sponsors. Okay. So if we actually going to open this video, the patent number is just right here. Patent number it's 201741020284. Oscillation power developer it's called. And honestly, I did want to check out the patent, and it's just right here, international patent, with a bunch of PDFs that describe the machine in details. So anyone can pretty much open this PDF, consult the machine, and eventually build your own free energy. No, really, there is no really free energy. As a matter of fact, we're going to open just the first PDF file to realize that this machine is not a free energy machine at all. Title says an oscillation power developer, just like in the video. The present invention is an oscillation power developer which converts electrical energy to mechanical energy, which further converts the mechanical energy into high torque. So this machine does not take mechanical energy, converts it back to electricity, because of course it's not a free energy machine, neither a perpetual motion machine. Furthermore, the present invention further comprises of a flywheel which is used to prevent the electrical oscillation produced from the generator, and there is no use of any magnet for gaining electricity from the flywheel. As I said before, of course, it's clear, it's not a free energy machine, but just a free energy claim. Second PDF, it is on the left patent number. It is also another aspect of the present invention to provide a DC motor which acts as a source of torque and provides mechanical rotation for producing mechanical oscillation. So if you're now wondering how this machine gets its power from, well, there is actually a DC motor hidden somewhere. Yes, it's actually not hidden. We have to just pay attention of the video. So here is the patent number, and let's play. So one thing is that this machine is so noisy, there is so much friction going on for every gear that it's just even a kid can realize that this machine can never be a perpetual motion machine. And far beyond any free energy dream, you know, this machine will never work in real life unless there is some kind of output power, output source with a DC motor. And there we go, here is our solution. What you see here in front of you, it's actually a car battery. It's blue color because this guy decided to paint it blue in order to confuse you a little bit. Normally, car batteries are black color because of ABS or PVC plastic, but this one is blue for a reason. And then if you follow the wires, they go all the way up here. And of course, they're going to hide behind this sign. There is so much space for this sign to stick on. Not you had to put it behind to cover the wires. Simple as that. But if we keep following the wires, there we go. Now we found a DC motor that runs the whole machine. There is no free energy at all, rather like a simple big pendulum with a DC motor. Is this machine a free energy machine? No, guys, this machine will stop. Or this machine, even better, will run until the battery run out of juice. Until the battery will run out of juice. So, is this a free energy again? No, rather a free energy claim. Real patent free energy. We welcome sponsors, of course. I couldn't be more clever than that. Yeah, how about we welcome investors? Yeah, naive investors. How about please make a donation for a non-profit organization? Yes. So don't need to be a scientist, neither an engineer, just rather a bit of rational thinking makes you understand that this is a pure scam. However, today we're gonna build some pendulums and make some kind of experiments to try to explain the phenomenon. Yeah, let's stay tuned.
Hey, welcome guys to the first class, the first lesson on simple harmonic motions. Simple harmonic motion, assuming a linear pendulum. A pendulum, it's made out of two simple components. A long arm. And a corresponding swinging mass, rotating on a pivot point and creating an angle, of course, in radians. Now, this pendulum now creates a cosine on the angle. In order to calculate our pendulum, we need to retrieve a few informations, of course. The first one would be the length, probably, of our arm. Yeah. The second information is that we know pendulums works on pure gravity. Assuming this pendulum is on Earth, so we need to know the location of our pendulum. The gravity force on Earth is a well-known number. So now we have two informations already. Now it's time for this pendulum to start swinging. Back and forth, back and forth, in a simple harmonic motion. After completing a full cycle and passing through the resting point, or we call it resting point, 4 times, we having a period. So each time our mass swings and passes through the resting point, that would be 1/4 of wave. So what's a period now? Let's having a visualization of our period. If we're having a sine wave, this is going to be our period. A period is how long it takes for our swinging mass to complete one full cycle. At this point, it's we have a simple equation to actually retrieve our time. Yes, now we know time. We have gravity and the length of our arm, and we have a simple equation that allows us to calculate time for this pendulum. Any questions? Any questions? You know what I realized so far in about 15 years of my profession is that school and all educational system can be quite boring. Yes, boring and quietly not effective. Yes, in teaching at least everyone. And I truly understand that most of these people that actually drop out of school, they end up making a scam for living, otherwise they cannot make it. Well, actually, most of other students unfortunately cannot afford going to school and get a real informal education, and perhaps they really want to learn. So this is actually, we should concentrate rather on these people and see what we can do for them. Maybe, for instance, a more interesting experiment with some visualization and maybe some clear observation can be quite more effective and definitely better way of teaching. So let's go ahead and play with pendulums and see what we can get out of them. An old-fashioned pendulum clock. I remember my grandma had one of those. She had to recharge the clock by pulling those chains every few weeks, because the clock was eventually slowing down and suddenly stop. Yes, so our goal today is actually to turn this pendulum into a free energy machine. But before we do that, we need to turn this pendulum into a perpetual motion device. A perpetual motion pendulum means that our swing arm will retain all the kinetic energy and swing forever. Now, I tell you, there is a big problem behind it. So it's called friction. So the friction comes mostly from this swing arm pushing a lot of air back and forth, yes. Unless your pendulum is sealed in a perfect vacuum, this swing arm, it keeps pushing a lot of air back and forth, back and forth. So the second problem comes actually from our pivot point, ball bearing. So no matter how much you lubricate that ball bearing, it's actually adding quite a lot of friction to our system. So now, some rational thinking can easily tell us that the more kinetic energy we try to apply to the system, the more friction we generate. And it's all proportional. And it's also obvious that the more components you add to this simple pendulum, the more friction and the more energy loss we have into the system. So let's keep our pendulum as simple as possible. So now, if we take this swing arm and bring it to point number 1, for the principle of conservation of energy, if I let it go, the swing arm should reach for point number 2 by retaining all the kinetic energy in this free fall. We need to remember that pendulum works on pure gravity, so let's do it. 3, 2, 1, and indeed it reached for point number 2, but quickly after that something just happened. It's not easy to visualize it, but we can try. So let's imagine we have a marker and we tape that marker to our swing arm and bring it back to point number 1. We give it a good swing. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Until it stops to the resting point. What we just drawn here, it's actually a beautiful resonance wave. Resonance wave with all the harmonics and everything. Resonance waves can tell us that this system is actually dropping quite a lot of energy. If this were to be a perpetual motion device, our harmonics were supposed to keep all the amplitude over and over again. But this is not happening because this system is actually losing a lot of energy. So let's forget about the principle of conservation of energy, first and second laws of thermodynamics. Our goal today is actually to collect all the kinetic energy and turn this pendulum into a perpetual motion device. So the best time to do that, it's actually to catch our pendulum in a quarter wave. This is the best time for any given frequency to actually raise your amplitude. You can also do it in a half of a wave, but quarter wave, lambda 4 is actually the best and most efficient way. So if you're not wondering what is the quarter wave and blah blah blah, so now let's imagine to take our swing arm and bring it at point number 1. Let it swing and it will reach for point number 2 and it goes back to point number 1. That's our cycle. That's one full cycle. That's our period. So now from point number 1 to point number 2, that will be our half a wave. From point number 1 to our resting point, that's going to be our quarter wave. This is the best time for us to inject energy back into the system in order to have a sustainable resonance. And there are only 2 ways to do this. First, through a mechanical device. But we just said that by adding mechanical devices to this pendulum, we'll just end up with more friction, more and more friction. So the second way to do this, I believe it's an electrical device, perhaps by attaching a magnet in a pickup coil to generate electricity anytime this magnet swings by. And a second coil to inject the energy back into the system in our quarter wave. But I tell you, there is another problem, another kind of friction. With this simple experiment now, we are going to observe a very strange phenomenon. It's called eddy currents. Eddy currents exhibits anytime we try to accelerate a magnetic field by copper, aluminum, and many other metals. So most of these eddy currents actually are turned into electricity, but some of it turn into friction. Now, here is a strong magnetic field, neodymium magnet. Here is a copper plate. Our magnetic field, or simply our magnet, it's not touching our plate, so there is no physical contact between them. But anytime we try to swing and accelerate this magnetic field, as you can see, suddenly it breaks its own fall. It looks like these eddy currents actually are generating an equal and opposite magnetic field that repels our magnet. And it looks like also the more we try, the more speed we apply, the easier is to, the increase of friction is causing this magnet to actually break its own fall. So what we need is actually not speed at this point. Let's imagine to have this pendulum, allow it to spin and turn 360 degrees, just like a clock. What we need is rather torque to overcome eddy currents, not quite speed. Well, looks like not all the eddy currents are turned into a form of usable electricity, but rather friction. Yeah, and perhaps this is not the best point to attach our generator. So assuming actually our pendulum can travel a full circle, it's not speed but rather torque what we need, and I think the pivot point, it's the point of maximum force we have. This is also the reason why they always put wire clippers near the fulcrum of our levers. It's the point of maximum force. Same for our pliers. So, for instance, in our case, best point to attach our generator would be the fulcrum, right there, by the ball bearing. Well, for your convenience, I actually did it. I've done it for you. That's the one. And you also see a gear, but we're not going to use a gear. Gears do not add energy to the system. I will say one more time. Gears and gearbox do not add energy to the system. Two or more gears in a constant mesh only generates a lot of friction. And this is the first reason why you need to keep your gears lubricated at all the time. Gears, they only convert speed into high torque, or either torque into speed, with a big energy loss into the system. So now, our generators still have bearings, strong magnets, and coils. Okay, we are generating a bit of electricity, but we're also adding a lot of friction into the system. 3, 2, 1. Here is the winner. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Here is the winner. There is too much friction going on here.
Big neodymium magnets, big coils equal big friction and energy loss. Big gears that converts into high torque, yes, big energy loss and big friction, yes. Bearings, yes, equal friction. Everything is equal energy loss into a system. And this is the first reason why we cannot have a perpetual motion device. And even less free energy generators. In this case, let's go take a look how much electricity, how much energy we're generating. So let's give it a good swing, and we are reading about 0 point something with a peak of 1.2 volts. So we're talking about millivolts here. Is this enough to keep this pendulum spin and swing in a perpetual motion way? No, not even close. The energy loss for a simple system is still way too much our friction. This system, it's never one-to-one efficiency. So thank you guys for watching, and please subscribe. See you next video.